The Xat Podcast experience.
He followed me. So that's how he became around, and he has never left ever since he did that. Like, I've banned him like, it must be thousands of times I've banned him, and he just comes back every day. So he's just there forever now. He may as well be a chat bot at this point. He just does the same stuff. It's how it is now.
I'll place my knapsack on my back, my rifle on my shoulder. I'll march away to the firing line, kill that Yankee soldier. I'll kill that Yankee soldier. I'll march away to the firing line and kill that Yankee soldier.
I think well, with me, I'm kind of trolling as well, a little bit. Like, not, I'd say I'm like 80% fact, like I'm serious, and 20% troll. Like how I go about, like, I keep saying pro-Trump stuff all the time, and I don't really care that much about Trump personally. But for Bubba, I think he's like, there has to be a part of him where he knows that he's like trolling and he doesn't believe part of the stuff he's saying. But I feel like the reactions you can get out of him and actually get him angry, he has to believe in what he's saying, at least a little bit. So he has to have I think it's somewhere in between. He's not fully troll, but that's a big part of it, but he's also believing a lot of it. So it's not black and white with him, I don't think. That's my stance on him and whether he's truthful or not.
Right. You know, Bubba, he says a lot of shit. You keep allowing him back. I mean, I guess it's just impossible to ban him permanently.
I mean, I could probably.
Oh, well, yeah, like you did to me.
Yeah, well, it would be actually hard to ban him because you didn't make alt accounts that often and like get on my chat.
Too much work.
But Bubba did. He every single day he deletes his cookies and he does a new one. So you have to physically ban him forever every single day because he will come back every single day. He'll just sit there in the ban chat. Like, I have like the ban section. He will sit there all the time and wait for somebody to unban him. In fact, if I don't have the power, like the power to have different like titles in the areas or whatever, like the ban section, he'll actually sign in and sign out repeatedly until you unban him. He will
fuck yeah,
out of that forever.
Hell yeah,
insane.
I love doing that shit. I used to do that shit too. You got too many clever ways to get rid of us, Assad. You've been here a long time. You talked about being here for, at least a decade, more so than a decade. What are some of the, things you've seen on Xat? Some of the things you've experienced? Anything interesting? Any dark shit you've seen?
I'm not sure if I've seen anything too bad. Again, I didn't really go to any big popular chats ever. It was mostly just personal stuff, so I don't think I could really remember that much weird, crazy stuff I've seen. I don't know. I've just seen people go crazy trolling each other most of the time, and then people go like insane on ban sprees. That's about it. Nothing really that unusual. I mean, I've seen people threaten like to kill themselves on there, but that's like, I think that goes to every social media platform. There's always that group that want to do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, when I first came on your chat, I used to think like, I'd never really been on a chat like that. I used to think you were the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Xat. And then I went to Flirt Chat, and I was sadly mistaken, man. There's so much fucked up shit that goes on here on Xat. We got autistic people getting doxxed. We got people's nudes getting exposed. So you haven't seen any of that?
No, not really. I think I've had it threatened to me, and I've seen people put IP grabbers and try to get crap off of me, but I think our chat usually doesn't have that bad of malicious people, or either that or people are really defensive about that on my chat, so they don't really get doxxed or anything, at least in my experience. So I'm not really sure.
Right, you got to practice a little bit of safety online. All right, so I guess I'm gonna move on a little bit more to the politics angle of this. I mean, you said you supported the Confederacy. You said that was like a result of you learning like the history of all that shit.
Yeah,
I mean, when did you really get into that?
I'd say I was probably a liberal kid. I'd say I was never really that into politics though, but I was probably very left leaning until I was 15 or 16 years old. So
Oh
prior to
wow.
that, I was pretty lefty and pro equality and everything like that. But
And that
whatever,
and now you're not pro equality?
not so much now.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't believe in equality. I mean, I think that some of the money that rich people have should be taken from them and given to somebody else.
No,
Um,
I don't mind as much rich people, but I do have a thing against rich corporations. I think the real problem is consumerism in America. It's extremely bad. Actually, not just America; it's all over the world. Just how much extreme consumerism there is, and how much little of that goes back to the people. Like, I'm not a big fan of corporations at
consumerism.
all. I don't think that people should be like. I don't really have a thing personally against rich people. I think the way that corporations run their business models is really at fault, and the fact that they don't get any tax, they don't pay many taxes. Most of the tax money is just people paying taxes at the bottom. So
Oh yeah,
that's my
man.
stance on that.
A lot of people say that taxation is theft, but it's kind of like Robin Hood. I mean, that shit was theft, but it's the cool kind of theft, Like you steal from the rich and give to the poor. You give to the people that actually need it. Fuck, I don't know. Like, what about the police? I mean, like, a lot of times, right wingers will be very much, pro the police. They'll suck the police's dick, but I haven't really seen that from you. I mean, could you care to elaborate kind of your opinions on that?
I don't care about the police at all. They could go die. I don't care about them.
Fuck yeah, bro. ACAB.
Yeah, I don't care about them. Everything that the modern state and government has been doing. I don't see how you could be supporting it. They haven't done anything to me for my benefit or to everybody's benefit. And I get you can say, "Oh, they're helping society stay the way it is." Well, personally, I don't like modern society in the slightest. So why would I want to be supportive of them when they're going around killing people? And I understand that they say, "Oh, they kill black people more," but what about the white people that die? So what about the other races that die? Police brutality is not a thing that's like only one race it's happening to. It's happening to everybody. That's really what's the core of the issue is. But the racial division is just put in the issue by the left, and I think it should be a bipartisan thing. Not that I care for either party, but you get what I'm trying to say.
No, dude, that's super reasonable. I mean, for sure. Like anybody who sees like the police doing something fucked up to a white person and they don't want to like go against that with the same level of vitriol that they do for a black person is a complete hypocrite. I've seen the police paralyze a white man, slamming him into the ground. I've seen police they evicted a woman, a sick woman from her house during the COVID era. It's like the fuck. Where's that police discretion? Like you can bend the rules a little bit. Y'all do it for your sheriffs when they get pulled over drunk driving. I don't know why y'all can't do it for an old lady, an old white lady at that. So yeah, I
Another
don't.
issue
Uh huh.
is like another example is like the worst example I've seen so far, probably in my life, is the what was it called? The Uvalde
Oh my
police
god,
shooting
I was
or
gonna
school
ask about
shooting, I was gonna
that.
say.
Holy
And
shit.
I downloaded the security footage that I think it was leaked. Of those police officers just sitting out inside the school in the hallway for about an hour doing nothing as there's a school shooter shooting teachers and kids and everything, and the police are just sitting there doing nothing, just sitting there. And then they have the audacity to have another few police officers outside the school, and they're fighting with parents saying that everything's okay. You're not allowed to go anywhere near the school. You're not allowed to see your kids.
Yeah,
And I think
man.
somebody got tased during that.
They
One of
had
the parents got tased
what
while the rest of the police force is sitting there doing nothing. I
I
don't see how anybody could defend a police force that is so ineffective that they can't do anything right like that. That is the worst example I've ever seen in my entire life.
yeah, man. It was an embarrassment. They were out here pulling guns out on parents trying to save their children. It was a mess, and it took the border fucking patrol of all people to take out the Hispanic mass shooter that was going on. I mean, don't you think that's kind of like optic wise that kind of makes the whole border thing kind of look good?
I don't know. I don't even. Again, I don't care about getting race involved in that one. No
Mhm.
matter what the race were, I don't care if they're white, black, Hispanic. I don't care what their race were. In that case, those police were just completely in the wrong in every aspect. No matter, I don't care what the race was in that circumstance. It was just completely off the wall, horrible. They all should be immediately fired. And another thing is that the police are the reason why they can get away with stuff like that, which I'm not saying they will get away with it,
And they might.
is that the police are not obligated in America to defend people. Like they're not obligated to defend you as a person. Their job is specifically law enforcement. So they can say, "Oh, well, it's not our job to defend people." Here's the thing: when you send a kid to school, you should at least know that they're safe. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They can try getting off with that lie, that ridiculous stance that they have, and legally, technically that's upheld by the federal law. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they could just be fine with that. Even morally, how could they be fine with? How could they sleep at night doing stuff like that? Like, or their inaction causing people to die? It's just ridiculous. Sorry to go on a tangent about that, but
No,
that was
that's
just
good.
ridiculous.
That's good. I wanted to hear some shit like that. What about uh what about the fact that we got the government spying on us? They not just the government, but you got all these companies selling our information. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, selling our information to the Chinese government. Do you really use any other social media besides that?
Uh, I try to avoid it as best I can. I use that. I use Discord, which I use that. Maybe Steam counts as one. That's about it. That's all I use. Discord's my main thing. I've been using for a couple of years now. I got really devoted to it. I'm hoping they don't go too bad with their censorship if they ever go through that, but they're all right for now, I guess. Whatever. But I try to avoid the big social media sites because YouTube's another one. My bad. YouTube's another one.
Yeah.
But I try to avoid using them as much as possible, especially for my opinions, because I will get banned in a second. I think even on Discord, I might get my account deleted if I say too much bad, but I'm usually fine on my own private chats. I think I'm okay for now. So I try to avoid them. There's nowhere you can go for true uncensored stuff. I mean, even 4chan bans a lot of stuff now, so it's like, I don't know. You know
I
what
mean,
I mean?
a lot of people would argue that Flirt Chat, they don't have mods there. You can't really get banned. Um, Listening to a lot of the other podcast episodes, people have referenced that as the reason they really like going there. You can say anything. You can say certain words that certain races don't like. Um, so yeah, like a lot of people would say that it's kind of free on there, but with that freedom, you also got a lot of stupid shit going on. Like I said earlier, you got doxing, you got I don't know, got like a lot of shit that you really wouldn't see on other places that have at least some level of moderation.
My biggest thing is just spamming the chat. It's very annoying. Even you're guilty of that one sometimes when you get too crazy.
That's the only one I do, and political violence threats.
I mean, that's on you. I mean, I don't condone anything illegal, so yeah. But whatever. It's just that's more on you than me. I think.
I've talked to you before. You said you have guns and shit, right? You believe in the Second Amendment?
Yeah, I got an AR under my bed behind me, an AR-15. Smith & Wesson M&P.
Is it just for like
AR-15.
do
I
you
also have
just
a pistol.
do you just like guns, or is it like for protection, or do you think like, oh, maybe one day when the government tries to take away my rights, I may have to use this? I mean, what's the thinking behind that?
All of the above.
All of the above, hell yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
care. I think everybody in the world should have a gun, in my opinion. Everybody has the right to self-preservation and self-defense. That's my stance on that. I think it's ridiculous that people can't have a gun. It reminds me of back in the day, they used to say, like in medieval times, that only, I don't know if this is true or not, don't quote me on this, but
Mm.
that only knights should be able to have swords. I mean, that's kind of
Right.
ridiculous, right? I mean, I think the same thing about guns. Everybody should be able to have one. Everybody should be trained in it. Everybody should be knowledgeable about guns, how to use a gun, or be safe, be gun safe. I think they should teach gun safety in schools, in my opinion. The more knowledge on gun safety, the better, in my opinion.
Based as fuck, man. I've seen a lot of people on the left get cucked on the gun rights issue. They wanna, I mean, obviously take guns away from people that have proven to be like a threat, but
Well,
to-
even in those situations, I think everybody has a right to self-defense. So I think if you're gonna let these people, okay, say you commit a crime like a felony,
yeah,
I think you should be able to, if you're getting rehabilitated through your punishment in a jail and you're fit to go back in society, you should be fit to get your gun back. If they want to do some half-assed measure, they should do is they should have you take another class to get your gun back. But I would prefer if they think this person is fit for society still, that they could fit back in society, be released. They should be able to have their right to self-defense back, because you're getting rid of all of your rights going into that prison. You should get all of them. You should get all your rights back when you're rehabilitated from your prison sentence. That's my stance on that.
yeah. Another one with that is like taking guns away from people who are still currently under investigation, or stuff like that. It's like either you think they're a threat, or you don't. And if you don't have enough proof to show that they're a threat, then you can't really use that to kind of
No, I don't think so. The
preemptively
only
take
time you should
away.
be taking your guns away from somebody is when you're being arrested and you're being detained and you're being put in a prison for a crime that you've committed. You're going into court. Courtrooms shouldn't be able to have guns except for the police officers in there, because obviously we don't want to have issues in the courtroom. But other than that, I'd say everywhere else should be fine. I'd say courtrooms are the only place where guns shouldn't be allowed, and in prisons as well. They shouldn't be allowed. I don't believe otherwise. Gun-free zones are just a joke, and a lot of gun-free zones don't have people with guns as well, except for maybe, I'd say when I went to high school, there was one police officer with a gun, and I think there was over 1,000 kids in my high school, and there was only one guy with a gun.
Mhm.
And there was 2 buildings as well. So what if an active shooter came into one building? And what if our police officer did what I believe the Parkland shooter, the Parkland school or whatever? He that police officer is gone and fled.
You ran outside.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
I'd
fuck.
say in that situation, I think teachers should be able to carry a gun. They should be trained. They should be responsible. They should know that they should be very safe with their guns. And have them locked up and away from the class, or otherwise, it's just common sense. It should be common sense. But they should be able to have the guns, because guess what? When you put your kids into school, the teacher is responsible for your child safety. Obviously, the police have been proven multiple times that they can't do it. So I think the teachers should be trained, and maybe not every teacher should have a gun, but I think that most of them should be trained and know what to do in an active shooter situation.
Yeah, man. I mean, we need to do something about this, because this can't keep happening, and like, just people, they get used to it. They just think it's normal, and it's just the way it is.
Let's get real here. America has more guns in it than it has people. There's no way you're gonna push this gun control that's gonna get rid of all the guns. No matter what, there's always gonna be guns in criminals' hands. So I think you gotta have good people with guns to stop them. We're not gonna get rid of every single gun. And people cite places like Australia, Canada. America is a completely different place. We literally have so many guns, it's ridiculous. There's no way you're gonna ever get rid of all those guns.
Yeah, a lot of
It's just
people.
the reality of the situation that we live in. We can't be comparable to those other countries anyway. Even though I think in those countries they should have the right to defend themselves. They should be able to get a gun easily. as long as they're not they're capable of firing a gun, capable of having a gun responsibly, of course. I think everybody should have the right to self-defense. But the problem is you can't compare these other countries to America. America is just a different breed, and people know that. America gets mocked for it. So
Nah, they're just jealous. Don't you think so? Like, I mean, a lot of people like to shit on America, but America's number one. We got global hegemony up in this bitch. Ain't nobody can tell us what to do. America's number one, and they're just mad.
Maybe I would agree with that in certain aspects. I guess by default, America's still number one, but America has a lot of issues that need to be solved, and I don't think they're going to be solved anytime soon. So
you're a Confederate. You're hoping, I guess, that one day, the current government establishment collapses, and you guys get another shot to kind of re-implement the South.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not wishing violence on anybody else. I'm just a good law-abiding citizen. But yeah, I mean, once everything falls and they implode on themselves, then I'm just gonna mind my own business and do my own thing as the new Confederacy. So just the way it'll be.
Yeah, this is why I do kind of support guns, because I don't really see not just America, but a lot of the current world structures, even the internet itself. Do you think the internet's gonna last another fucking 10, 30 years? Like, don't you think they're gonna start to regulate the fuck out of it, and it's not gonna be like how it once was?
I mean, it's already partially getting regulated. I think the internet's the problem. The internet is, for them anyways, it's so ridiculously powerful. You get so much information at your fingertips. Not to be like cliche or anything, but there's just so much here to look at, and a lot of people complain about. Especially on the left, about how radicalized people get by looking at all this information. I mean, guess what? The government, and we don't believe everything the government says. I mean, it's just how it is, and we're just gonna have to deal with. We have all this information that we can look at and come to our own conclusions. You know what I mean?
What about part of that information that has come out recently is all the UFOs. They call them by something else now. I don't even know the fucking current terminology, but all these UFOs, the new videos coming out with the military fighter jets catching them shits. What do you think about all that? I mean, do you believe in aliens, Fassad?
I haven't really looked at much of the stuff that's came out, honestly, and probably personally, like time when it's the government saying it, I kind of tend to think it's kind of true the opposite way. So it makes me more suspicious that they're coming out with it randomly out of nowhere. But
yeah, honestly, that shit was weird.
Opinion, I say I'm open to it, but I don't specifically I don't believe in aliens per se. I'm not thinking, oh, these guys are out there for sure. But I'm open to it. It's whatever to me. I mean, I could go one way or the other on that. Very on the fence.
Wasn't there a user that used to come on your chat that was all about the reptilians and all that shit?
But you never... Wait, have you personally heard of him? Was he around with you? I don't remember. His name was Bacchus, I think, or Enlil.
Yeah, Bacchus. And, I knew him as Enlil, but yeah, I definitely saw him a few times when I was very early on, when you used to still call me Ultra Lord.
Yeah, Ultra.
Ultra, yeah, you used to call me Ultra.
Ultra Rain.
Yeah.
What was the question again?
Yeah, what's the I just wanted to know about Enlil. I mean, he was a whole reptilian guy. What was his deal?
Well, I don't really know what to say about him other than he was very confident. Well, let's be honest here. He was basically schizophrenic and in a bad way that what his family appeared to be taking his disability money and spending it on their own stuff, and he seemed to be mostly oblivious to reality. So it just seemed like a very sad situation we were seeing a part of on Xat, that he would go on these schizophrenic rants. He probably didn't take any medication. His caretaker family was probably not caring for him whatsoever. So I look at him. I just think of him as a negative, kind of a negative situation that you're seeing a part of on Xat. I mean, you can laugh at him for being disabled, but And sometimes, you know, it's hard not to because he would say the most ridiculous crap ever, and if you question him, he would just come up with some BS. But it was kind of a messed up situation. I just wish him well. I mean, he really had some problems, and his
No,
family was not probably abusing him. So I wish him well. I don't have anything against that guy.
now I feel fucking bad. I feel like I used to make fun of him and shit.
He
But
used to like complain that his family would like withhold him. He would alcohol and cigarettes. I'm pretty sure he was in his 30s or something. And you know he was on disability, and they're supposed to be caring for him, and they probably didn't do crap considering how bad his episodes were on that we saw. So it was just, I think he was genuinely ill. So I just feel bad for him. I wish him well. I really really do.
another person that I think you might know about is Achilles. He likes to come on every once in a while and spam some right wing, fuck women, fuck black people or
He was
whatever.
kind of weird. I don't want to say nothing bad about him because I thought he was all right, but he just seemed like a character, you know. I think he was a little bit normie, right wing conservative, and I think he really didn't like me because I was a little too far off the edge for him. But I don't really have a problem. I remember
You
he had
too
some really
far
funny.
you too far off the edge for him?
Yeah, I think that's what he interpreted of me. Yeah, I think so. He had like a YouTube channel, I think, didn't he? And he would like post. I think I remember saving one of his videos. It was so funny to me.
Yeah, people have shown
I
me
think he
his
had.
channel.
I think he had a video like called "This is watch this video if I go missing" or something, or if like for his family or something. It was just him talking to the camera about what they should do, like the government got him or something. I mean, it's kind of like based, but it's kind of cringy too. That was kind of funny though. But I don't have nothing against anybody really. I don't. But I think he was a little. I don't think he likes me at all. I don't. It's like whatever. That's his opinion, I guess.
What about I mean, have you ever dated anyone? Well, I think I already know the answer to this. I think you used to date Kay on that.
Yeah,
Um,
Kay, and there was another one, Leonix. Kay is a really nice person. Genuinely, we broke up on good terms. She's really nice. She still talks to me occasionally. She does her own thing. I think she's married now.
oh
With some
shit.
guy in Alabama. Oop, I shouldn't say that, but oh well.
Nah, I mean
Um,
nobody's gonna know who that is on here.
yeah, she barely gets on Zat anyway. She has her own thing going for her. But I wish her well. You know, she's a very nice person. We have some different beliefs on some things. I don't think she's a Nazi anymore. She used to be a really hardcore Nazi. I think she was an eco-Nazi actually, but I think she's gone a little
Based.
bit more normie with her beliefs. So that's whatever to me. I think we talked about her recently, but and Linux was another one, but I don't even know where to start with her. We broke up on less good terms. I don't really know. I don't know if I want to get into that even. So
Right. Nah, just whatever you're comfortable with. The other host of the podcast likes to hear about people's relationships. Is there anyone from Zat that you've ever like met in real life or considered meeting in real life, or you if you could, you would?
yeah, I mean, probably a couple people. Well, I actually invited a real life friend to Zat like 10 years ago just to have him see it, but that was like whatever. I think he found it very entertaining at the time. It was like 2012 or so probably, or 2013, around there.
Mm.
But I've met some really, really good friends. In fact, most of my friends on Discord are just friends from Zat, so it never really leaves, you know? And I would probably be comfortable meeting like one or two of them because I've met some really good friends on here that I trust a lot, so I
Mhm.
wouldn't, but I would see it happening maybe occasionally someday. I don't know.
Is there anyone that you've ever been rivals with? Any enemies that you've had on Zat that you could name?
Well, other than Bubba, I don't know. Like, really? Other than Bubba, I think the CVI Networks guy was a little annoying. I don't know if I would call him a rival, and it's probably not nice of me to call him annoying, but
What about the
Bernie, I think his name
Oh,
was Bernard. He's a little. I don't know why he just started hating me. I think he also thought I was too far right or something. He just started hating me. I really don't say nothing mean to people
well,
unprovoked. So
I
I don't
think you
really understand
are
it.
way, way too far right, but you're at least polite about it. I mean, like, you don't really like berate people like that. You kind of just make share a couple jokes with them, kind of like dismiss what they have to say, and that's about it. And to be honest, like that's not
Try
that's
not to make it too serious. Sometimes with Bubba, sometimes I'm sometimes a little I'm sometimes a little serious with Bubba. But again, mostly it's just trolling. So I mean, some people find that very obnoxious, but I think I'm usually pretty nice to other people most of the time, anyway.
I mean
Even you sometimes, but you sometimes go off the rails. So I don't know.
no, I recognize that, man. I don't even fault you for that. I know, coming on here, for the past couple years, kind of had to learn that, can't do this shit all the time. Kind of gotta, calm down a little bit, be a little bit friendly to people. Um,
I like being friendly to people. I think it's better off that way. I'm pretty relaxed of a person most of the time. I don't really like trouble that much. I just like doing my own thing.
so you say, like, are you at peace generally in your life?
I mean, of course, we all have our issues, of course, but I think I'm mostly all right with everything. I mean, in my personal life, I think I'm fine. I don't really have that many issues. I mean, everybody could better themselves. Everybody has issues, but I think I'm doing all right personally.
I know you had some shout outs to give to a few people.
Only one. Shout outs to Jack from my chat. He really wanted me to say that. You know him too. He just wanted me to shout him out. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's a good guy. I like him. A lot of people in my chat I like. They don't really get on much though that often. He don't get on that often, so. But shouts to him.
Right.
And I don't know what else to say. That's probably it, I guess.
Do you
Do you have any more questions?
do you have anything to say to anyone who might not be familiar with Xat? Coming on the chat, or maybe watching this episode, and they're curious about what Xat is. I mean, could you explain what this wonderful place that we've all come to know is?
It's a weird, outdated chat app, and it has a lot of extremely weird people on it. So, if you ever want to see to look into the abyss, I think you should look at Xat and the people that still use this website in 2022. I think it's an experience, to say the least. I think that's what I would tell them. So,
one more thing, do you think you will ever leave Xat? I mean, we've been here for a long time. I think most people, like, they have it in the back of their mind, like, oh, one day I'm gonna do something else. I mean, what's your thought on that?
I think I would like to stay on Xat as long as possible.
Wow.
And honestly, it's probably the only thing Bubba has ever really gotten to me on, because I'd hate to see all these chats around and Bubba's the only one still on it. So I think for that reason alone, I'd want to at least get on occasionally to ban him some more, because if I leave the chat, I think he's gonna think that he's won. So I can't have that happen. He always has to lose. So I think I'm gonna be on here as long as I can be. So.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That's hilarious. I mean, I just got like this horrible mental image of every single chat on Xat being empty and dark, and Bubba's just there alone, like, hello, guys. I won.
He wouldn't say that. He would just copy and paste some like, oh, I won, man. I won. Oh, I won. And he would just be saying that he would be pretending that he won, but in the inside, he would just be crying. He would just be crying that there's no facade to talk to if that were the case. So, I mean, I guess it's better for him that I stay on there, but I want to be the winner too. So, I'd rather keep staying on just to spite him. Also, he said he claims to be like 70 years old, so you technically think he'd die eventually.
God,
right?
I fucking hate that shit. I hate that he pretends to be an old motherfucker. He is not fucking 40-something repairing.
No, he's not 40, dude. He says he's 70 years old. He says he's a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran that is from Texas, the most Texan person he said. Oh, he also said he was born in some Ethiopia or some. He said he was born in Africa to a white rich family who moved to Texas, and he's that. He's like some rich family who chose to get drafted into Vietnam, who's super rich already, who's an electrical engineer, and he's super rich, and he's like the most far left, like brain dead person you'll ever meet. It's just how he could think that that's believable in any sort of capacity. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you want to make your RP story, your role play story sound so like more believable or something. But he just sounds like the most ridiculous crap you ever heard in your life. It's just so ridiculous. I don't know with him.
Yeah, nah, to be honest, I really wanted to have him on the podcast. I really wanted to find out what he's actually like, if he's really with the shits, if he really, believes all the shit he says.
Well, the problem
Motherfucker.
is if he got on the podcast, you'd know he's full of it because he wouldn't sound old because he's not. I don't know what he would sound like because he could be anything.
Yeah, I thought your voice was gonna be way deeper.
Yeah, no, I have a shitty I don't know if I'm allowed to curse that much on here, but I have a horrible. I should start smoking or something. I have a horrible high pitched voice. It's not very fitting. It's probably
Wait,
because I'm not even that tall neither. So
You smoke?
no, I said I should start smoking to get a deeper voice.
Oh, you should start smoking.
voice
Gotcha.
is my voice is too high.
Hey, man, I've been smoking
Right.
for years now, and it ain't done shit for me. So
Yeah, you're smoking the other crap.
yeah. Hey, you should have smoked with me one day, man. It'll be lit. We'll have an awesome experience.
I'm not really into recreational drugs. We didn't get. There's so many issues we could have got into on your political. We should have like a political one next time.
You're watching Nick. We'll be right back.
They said we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. But here in Louisiana and all over the South, Jim Crow never really left, and the remnants of the Confederacy remain. In 1873, when a black man named P.B.S. Pinchback won a U.S. Senate race, he was never seated. They claimed election fraud. The attacks against black people, our right to vote, and participate in this democracy are methodical. Gerrymandered districts are a byproduct of the Confederacy. Our system isn't broken. It's designed to do exactly what it's doing, which is producing measurable inequity. 1 in 13 black Americans are deprived of the right to vote. 1 in 9 black Americans do not have health insurance. 1 in 3 black children live in poverty. It's time to burn what remains of the Confederacy down. I do believe the South will rise again, but this time it'll be on our terms. I'm Gary Chambers, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
You're watching Nick. Now back to the show.
Confused because I was like, I didn't know if we were recording at first or not. So I was kind of like really casual at the beginning. I'm like, oh wait, I gotta start answering.
I fucking forgot, dude. I was over here having a nice ass chat. It's fucking you, dude. I've been trying to talk to you for a fucking year.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
You're one of the only people that I'd actually consider a legend of Xat. You know, a lot of people talk about like, oh yeah, this guy, he used to come back and
Pote is the only legend of Xat I know, and he always gets mad because I don't always ban people he doesn't like, and then he leaves for like a year.
Who?
Makes me sad. Mike Pote, you know Mike Pote.
Ah, fuck yeah, dude. He's another one that like I
He's
would
a
love to have
legend,
on
dude.
here.
He's
Yeah.
been on for probably longer than me, and he always has that same copy pasta he always does. I think he's been on longer than me.
Weren't y'all showing some screenshots of him like on some website like years ago?
I don't. Maybe I don't remember. It was probably somebody else because a lot of people know him. He is a legend of Xat because people recognize him.
Mike
He's a
fucking
legend,
Pote.
man.
Hell yeah, dude. Maybe he'll if he comes back, you should give him a shout out and tell him to come on the podcast.
I guess that's a shout out to Mike Pote as well. he's a funny character as well. He's very smart though. You seen him argue?
Dude, he's one of the only ones that I'd say like when it came to like the rhetoric and the optics, like he had me because he can type fast as fuck too.
I think he says he's like rich and he lives in DC, but
I believe it.
maybe it's true because he's so smart. Like he seems really educated. Like he's probably been to college as well. Like got a degree. I just know he types really, really smart, and you don't want to get on his bad side because.
Oh yeah, no,
he's
fuck
really
yeah.
good arguing.
Even I can admit that he's one of the people that if he actually decides to go 2 for 2 with you, he'll like he can turn shit around and make you look bad.
The problem with me is I'm bad at arguing because
Nah, dude, you're not. You're fucking. You're nah,
I
dude.
used to be good.
You're good at
I
arguing
used to
because you don't even get into it. You kind of just like you dismiss it in such a like mocking kind of like snide way that no one takes serious. Like when you dismiss something, it's just funny. You can't like I always
Yeah,
try to
I mean,
make
that's-
things serious and
But
you
it's
make them
because,
funny.
Like, it's because of dealing with Bubba for literal years. Like, I think if you met me like in 2015 or something, I used to argue IRL a lot. I used to go insane, like you do, kinda.
Oh yeah.
I would have I had like a fat friend in high school, and me and him would go off because he was from New York City and he was really far left for a while. And I would go off on him, and yeah, it was just the most. I would come up with such insane crap. If I was back then, I would be like, I'd probably be on your level of like insane arguing, but because I deal with Bubba so much, I just can't help it just dismissing people. I just being very dismissive and just mocking them because it's just hard. It's a hard habit to break, and so I could be better at it if I was more serious. But I kind of do find it funny just to mock people.
I guess it depends on who you're arguing with, or who you're talking to. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it can come off as dodgy. But at the same time, like you don't have to debate anyone if you don't want to. That is one of the things that like hey, like I don't fucking want to talk to you. Fuck off. And you're very good at doing that shit.
You can't. It's hard to say that to you though because you never shut up. I wouldn't have got on Xat Podcast if it weren't for not that you were being very insistent. You were being insistent about it, but it's more that you asked nicely to do it. I'm like,
No.
well, it would be nice. So I do it more because it's nice, not because you're being annoying. Because you're being nice. So I want to return that.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, like I really need to learn how to be more patient with people. I tend to freak out, but that's enough of that shit. I mean, we're wrapping this shit up. Actually, like, since you were talking about like left, like politics and like you said you had a left wing friend. Like, what is some of the craziest like wrong shit you've heard coming from the left in the past few years?
I don't even know where to start with that. I'd have to really think of it. There's so much stuff that's been going on. I don't even. I'm having trouble thinking.
What about the way that the left wing was really trying to like fall behind Hillary Clinton in 2015, as if that was ever gonna fucking work?
I mean, it's better than Biden. I mean,
really, you think Hillary's better than Biden?
Well, from an optics situation, yes. Just because Hillary is well, she's a woman for one, so that's obviously brownie points for that. But also, I feel like Hillary's speeches were not as ridiculously horrible as Biden every single time he gets on the podium. Like, oh my god.
But like Biden, this is what I would say to that. Optics wise, Biden comes off as like an inoffensive, doddering old man. Hillary Clinton comes off as a bitch.
Yeah, I could kind of see that, but I just look at so many things of Biden just acting senile, acting like horrible, getting lost in places, and he just can't argue like he used to be. Like if you go back let's say go back 20 years to Biden, and you watch a Biden speech from like 20 or so years ago and see him actually talking.
In Washington today, he was having trouble convincing some people he really is a senator and having some doubts about the Senate seniority system while hoping older members won't hold his age against him.
I expect these fellows are going to eventually judge me on my merit, not on my age, and I have to establish that merit, assuming there is any there. I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. Beyond having other senators' staffs think I'm applying for a job or as a page or something.
And he's a really good speaker. He's all the mental faculties on him. And
Yeah.
then you look at Biden now, and he's just a horrible shell of his former self.
I think it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about anyone's age, including mine. I think that's totally legitimate. But I think the best way to make the judgment is to watch me. Am I slowing up? Don't have the same pace? Or, and that old joke, everybody talks about the new 70s, 50s, and all that stuff. It could be, I'm a great respecter of fate. I could get a disease tomorrow. I could, drop dead tomorrow.
And I just say why? Why would they pick somebody like that? They could have picked anybody else. It's just ridiculous how they would pick him of all people.
When you
Hillary Clinton has all the Clinton name to her and all the scandals and stuff, but I mean, the thing with the Hillary Clinton stuff and the scandals, I feel like the left doesn't care about them as much as the right does, so it kind of like fizzles out a little bit. That's just how I see it. And Biden just has like he just can't act presidential. Trump couldn't act presidential either, but Biden's is a different way where you can't trust Biden with anything because he doesn't have his mental faculties there to gain your trust. You know.
A lot of very valid points, but what about
Dark Brandon?
what about that? You know, he's been coming out. He's been having a whole new type of energy. I just watched the video, him talking about Republicans trying to cut Social Security and shit. He says if they try to do it, he's like,
I ain't gonna do it.
so he does it with a whispering voice and shit. I mean, don't you think that's kind of working? No.
I'm not gonna say his no to that. I don't think his reputation could beat it. Even if he could could up his reputation, the problem is inflation is up and
Hey,
gas prices
phew.
are back up. So that's kind of worse.
Fassad,
than, you know,
we'll see.
victory he has.
We're gonna see after these midterms, man. But I was talking a lot of shit with Razzles the other day, telling him to bet. I do not want him to fucking bet, man. Like shit is looking grim as fuck.
Yeah, I don't really care about federal politics after Trump shit, but I don't even know if I'm gonna vote. I don't really care that much
Don't.
about it.
Let's just let's stay on Flirt Chat and just argue with each other while people are wasting their time voting for someone that's already been picked.
Yeah, I mean it's probably about as effective as real voting anymore. Just argue on that. I think probably about the same effect on everything. So that's just how I feel about it at this point.
Okay, for real now. Last question. What about the nukes, man? Do you think that they're close? Do you think that whole Russia-Ukraine shit's gonna blow over and we're just all gonna go back to normal, or do you think shit's about to escalate?
Well, I'd say there's probably I'd say it's probably about 10 or 20% chance of some nuclear crap happening, whether it be Russia on Ukraine, which I think is least likely, or Russia on NATO/America, which is probably more likely. And it all comes down to like how much of if you didn't hear, I don't know if you were following it, but Russia, the land that Russia has claimed in Ukraine, right? Like all across the border of eastern Ukraine is voted to become Russia.
Yeah.
And not only that, Russia has changed their constitution to say that include them as mainland Russia.
Jesus fuck.
So if the only doctrine that Russia has on nukes, on nuclear weapons, is if they feel that their territorial integrity is at threat, that they could use a nuke. Like if it's really screwed, and it depends on how far the NATO is willing to go with Ukraine and like pushing them into trying to get back their own territory. And you have to face it is a proxy war because America has spent well over $100 billion on funding Ukraine, and a bunch of other countries have been donating equipment and money and everything.
Like isn't it ridiculous how that just happened? Like the Ukraine conflict begins and like we just fucking immediately sending out money, and we have all these other issues that people have been trying to get funded for decades, and no fucking money.
Ridiculous because it's also very amusing and interesting to me that we happen to get in this huge proxy war conflict less than a year after America pulls out of Afghanistan.
Hell yeah.
So if you understand, like, we have the military-industrial complex in America. So these companies are getting these military contractors getting money from the politicians to get these contracts out, and then they funnel money back to the politicians. You know, it's this endless cycle. So that was kind of stopped because of Afghanistan, because Afghanistan was our big, huge war that America's been in for who knows how long, 20 years.
Mhm.
Now, right after that, have the proxy war in Ukraine. Now we're sending all these billions and billions of dollars worth of equipment, and guess what? Now the military contractors have all these contracts to fill because we are sending all this military equipment out, and we have to replace it for ourselves. So America has to go and say, okay, well, we're going to sign billions and billions of dollars to these military contractors, and we gotta get more of our military crap back. So it's like we're still in a war. Like it's never ending with America. It's another war we're in and it's funding the military industrial complex.
Fassad, you know, one of one of my biggest fears is that one day we're gonna like actually need our military, and we're gonna like look exactly like fucking Russia right now when they're going up against Ukraine, and their logistics is all fucked up. They got outdated ass munitions. They got outdated weapons. They
Oh, we won't be like Russia. We'll be 10 times worse.
Oh God! I thought you
Our
were gonna say we were
logistics-
gonna be better, but no,
No,
worse.
American logistics, I have no faith in whatsoever. We have so many diversity hires.
What about like the fact that like none of our soldiers have actually like experienced the shit that like a lot of these other countries have when they're facing like
America has never fought an equal power in all of its existence, like since World War II. Like, not even Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam was still a power where America was bombing the crap out of everything.
Dude, I am so scared of that happening. Like all of our military might, we have all these anti-air missile launchers and fucking like, dude, imagine just seeing all of that being used and like ineffective. That's a fucking nightmare.
It's probably gonna be, and if anything from the Ukraine-Russia conflict is really something to think about, it's that a lot of our equipment, a lot of America's equipment, all this high-tech technology, we say on paper it's going to be way better than the Russians. On paper, we've never been in a conflict to test that in its full, like, actual combat environment. None of them are combat proven, as they call it. So a lot of our crap could just be crap, and we don't have qualified people. I doubt we're going to have enough qualified people to really deal with them, because I think we have a lot of diversity hires.
With the way that what is a
is very
what is
at this point.
I'm sorry, what is a diversity hire? Is that like they hired you because you're black or something?
Yep.
In the military?
Because you're a minority, you get plus. Yeah, it's like that in the military as well now.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that, but yeah, no, I don't.
I think they had like the biggest like West Point graduate. The biggest like African American West Point graduate was like a couple of years ago. It was all black people were just graduating from West Point, and the military has a lot of that. It's all political. It's all LGBTQ plus. I've seen it all over the place.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that shit. I've heard that the right is trying to say that the military is too woke now. They're too I don't know, man. I just think like obviously when you're gonna promote someone to a position, like especially the fucking military, we're talking about people's lives here. You kind of do it based on the skill and not the race. I do kind of believe in some level of accommodations being made for different races. We have different inequalities, historical inequalities, but the fucking military, I don't want my fucking war general being some limp-wristed, dick sucking, like.
I understand what you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's just how it is nowadays. Political. I mean, the military is political. In most countries, it's political, but I think to the point where it's getting too political, to the point where I think it's going to have the same, and I think personally, in my opinion, worse problems than Russia would have in a real conflict, because of all these political hires and diversity hires, just people who are not entirely qualified for the job getting these positions. And what's going to happen is it's going to collapse. The logistics will collapse, is because people are going to look for, if something's going wrong in somebody's position, the wheel and the cog isn't working. The cog isn't going correctly, right? If that happens, right, they're going to look for somebody else to be getting hold on, I lost my train of thought.
Are you talking about how like the U.S. is the military police?
If the wheel in the cog is failing, and they're going to look for another wheel in the cog to replace that, and there's just going to be a collapse of responsibility in the military. It's just going to be a huge collapse of all these people are just going to not be doing what they're supposed to be doing. And when all these wheels and all these cogs in the military machine break down, that's when you're going to have the huge logistics problem, and that's partially what Russia was facing to begin with. But I think it's going to be a lot worse in America because we underestimate our opposition. America has been for the entire Ukraine conflict talking crap on Russia for the entire time. Oh, look how bad they are. It's been since day one. And when you're going around underestimating your competition, that's when the real problems start. And then when you have all these issues that you thought, oh, we could just beat these guys easily, and then you get all this resistance and all these people, everybody's going to instantly lose all their morale because they thought, oh, we thought these guys are so bad in Ukraine. How could they be doing good now?
I mean,
There's just going to be no morale.
we saw it already with Vietnam. We use a tactic. I forgot exactly what it's called. I think it's like shock and awe, where you just like show so much superior military might and technology. You know, obviously in Vietnam we went with the iconic images of the helicopters bombing the jungles and shit. That was meant to be like, to break their will. Like, wow, look how much more military might we have. And we, the longer and longer we stayed in there, we're saying like, hey, this kind of isn't working, And I feel like that's probably what's gonna happen again if we ever do get into a conflict. We're gonna try to like, scare them off with all this like fucking like loud noises and shit. And meanwhile, they're just gonna be in their little ass bunkers, sniping us off.
And Russia did the same thing. And Russia did because they went straight for Kiev. They went straight for it, and they went all the shock and awe, the missiles and everything, and it didn't work because Zelensky is very intent on keeping this war going. And on day one, he immediately started mobilizing everybody. I don't know what drafting or mobilization draft that they're on. Right? I think they're on the 8th wave of it or something. I heard. I don't know. They've been drafting basically everybody that could possibly be drafted ever in Ukraine to fight against Russia at this point. And honestly, I think it's sad because I think the conflict should have just been ended with some diplomatic solution. And I think it's partially evil Putin's fault for invading. I get it when you do something bad like invading a country. Of course, you're going to be the bad guy. You're the aggressor. But you have to understand, for many years, NATO has been expanding. And NATO has never compromised once on anything for Russia ever. So we need to have we should have some sort of compromise. And I don't think compromising always means, a lot of the time it means that, the opposing side is winning. They're getting something out of it. But I think the alternative we could have just compromised. NATO could have just compromised and said, okay, we'll keep Ukraine a buffer state. And guess what? If NATO did that, it could have saved It could have saved thousands of Russians' lives. It could have saved, more importantly, thousands and thousands of Ukrainian people's lives. That would have been much preferable to the conflict that has a lot of people dying for no good reason, pretty much. Like a lot of wars are, but still.
Yeah, well, I think we've made a lot of progress today. We've talked a lot about a lot of issues. Gonna go ahead and head out. I really enjoyed talking to you. You've been the most informative podcast that I've done, and I hope that.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You did ask a lot, but I do appreciate it. It was something different for sure.
Oh, thank you, man. Hopefully we might be able to get you back on or whatever. I'm for sure have a different perspective about you now because now that I have kind of like a more of a like your actual personality to put behind the Xat user.
It's hard to get like a feel for people, but you get more of a feel for, with text it's harder, but when you get like to hear somebody's voice and their like inflections and how they speak and their personality, it is different, something to think about,
Yeah, dude, for sure. All right, dude, I'll be talking to you later, man. It was really fun. Have a good night, man. Yeah, so stay safe out there. Bye.
Through the smoke and the mud and the blood we walked behind Robert E. Lee. 60 miles from Richmond to face the Union Army. We dug our holes and we built a wall 'cause we knew there'd be a fight if the blue coat wearing soldiers crossed the river that night. Sure as hell at sundown came 100,000 men, and it sure did shock me, Lord, to see kin killing kin. The cannonballs were heavy, filled with iron and steel and lead, and the James River water ran a bloody red. Did you mean for me to kill my brother?